Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? How is censorship defined? We are on doggy duty, so who knows when we'll get interrupted, but we continue on. And so we've logically derived what is a logarithm. From rhythm to algorithm, we've made some direct logical statements. Again, this differentiation is kind of hard for you to keep up, but from rhythm to algorithm is a linguistic sequence. Rhythm, 2 syllables, algorithm, 4 syllables, but algorithm containing the complete linguistics, the letters of logarithm. Then we have this natural inversion, this natural chirality, where we have to switch things, literally switch the place of the elements, like letters, in the same way. I'm just trying to think of an example really quick. I don't have anyone written down. But where you switch the elementality of 2 letters. And so we're getting to that where we can show this inversion logically with linear letters, just letters written in one direction. So from rhythm to algorithm, our fundamental physical definition: a rhythm, a minimization of steps; an algorithm, inanimate sorting; a logarithm, a relationship between a base and a power. A power is an exponent, being explicit on our language. Because the exact logic, when you see the form of a logarithm presented to you, you say, what power do I raise this base to get this number? That is the functional, logical, linguistic statements you say to yourself. So you associate the word power, not exponent. But right, then being explicit exactly where we're at, what's the exact, a power is a power, or an exponent is an exponent. The logic of when you see a logarithmic form, you say, what power do I raise this base to, not which exponent. But overall, power, exponent, same type of functionality. So are all numbers logarithms? And yes, right, when you see the number 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, 6, 7, right, it's 6 to the first power, 7 to the first power. And so kind of the physical motivation, your natural question is ask why. Right? What physical process, all mathematics emerges from physical movement, all theme, all motif, even recurring theme, but all order, all consistency emerges from the physical world. And then we have sound, and that is how we logically represent and discuss mathematics, is with words. And we're demonstrating the complete structure of language. And so really from our entire structure, from rhythm to algorithm, 2 syllables, 4 syllables, this kind of like stabilized or endpoint, fixed point linguistically, the iteration logarithm and algorithm, and now this introduced syllability, sensorality. And we're using all of these pieces to show this fundamental differentiation. What is a sensor? What makes the functionality of censorship unique? But all numbers are logarithm, or presented in logarithmic form, or at least can be. Any number you see of cardinality, because again, the ordinality, the one to many, that's to the universal phase changes. But we've always lived in 3 dimensions, so every number you interact with is a cardinal number that is outside of this fundamental universal progression. That's the one to many. And so, right, our fundamental operators, math, or addition and subtraction, kind of, again, this dichotomy, division and multiplication, these inverses, these dichotomies. But if you said 1 plus 1, is that the same as 1 to the first power? Well, directly no, but just the overall form, right? When you get presented something with an exponent, and it's this self-identification, this self-iteration, this self-operation, when you say 1 plus 1, right, why is that not identity, right? And it just isn't, but addition and subtraction, it's this thing to that thing, right? Everything is unique. You add one book to a set, you add one atom to a different set, but just again trying to emphasize the form of an exponent is a unique operation. And then, right, how many operators are there, right? Really, how many fundamental differentiations exist physically, and how many fundamental differentiations exist logically. And so we just continue to progress our linguistics until we have this self-contained statement where we can show the iteration, the integration of the syllability, sensorality, using this conceptualization, this logic, to have a well-defined linguistic statement, a sentence, word construction, I don't know if it has to be a sentence. Again, dimensionless analysis, we show this geometric iteration outside of an equation sign. And that's our big logical differentiation is exponentiation, the self-function of identification. 4 to the third power is 4 times 4 times 4. And then symbolically, we represent that different than 4 times 4 times 4, right? It's just the actual form of an exponent of a logarithm is self-identification. And so just emphasizing you can't say anything else besides just like the structure of what addition and subtraction is, and then what is a logarithm, what is exponentiation. And so we're just getting to this self-contained linguistic statement which contains this syllability that is definitive, that gives us our fundamental physical definition of a sensor. In our linguistic proof, we just need the conceptual motivation, censorship with a C, the element that is used out in the wild, and sensor with an S. Censorship with a C contains sensor with an S. And so we just need the right conceptual motivation. The linguistics is trivial. Moving along. What is det to doubt? Emphasizing again the vowel structure, the E and the OU being the difference. Sensorality doubts det. Direct iteration. Doubt donut. Sensorality is multiple times. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is functionality plural? Right? Is there more than one function? Right? That's the big ontological word in mathematics. What is a function? But is there more than one? Again, how many fundamental unique differentiations exist? Fundamental theorem of logic, functionality is uniqueness. Right? All of these words that have unique meaning, they emerge from unique functionality. Words differentiate functionality. Go to the store means something different than do a backflip. What is function to frequency? What is function to information? Sensorality filters information. Direct iteration. Sensorality is sonarality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, emphasizing our most explicit linguistic containment is sonality, where the R just completes to the N. And I'm 99% sure that's the containment that we reduce to get our finalizing definition. Is sonar a sensor? Direct iteration. Sensorality, sonarality. Sensorality is a sense of season. Natural definition, direct iteration. Fundamental theorem, synchronicity is tuned in. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality multiplies generosity. Direct iteration. Is a multiple a factor? Again, on the steps that are not sensorality, right? That's the syllability we're directly integrating, iterating. But when we say direct iteration, it's an emphasis on the elementality. And again, sometimes if it's a definition that's not widely acknowledged, then I'll put natural definition, direct iteration for something that isn't the novel syllability, sensorality. Just meaning synchronicity, right? That's well defined, and then people say the phrasing tuned in, and then natural definition being connecting the two as saying, hey, this is a unique step where people don't acknowledge this logically. When people are saying they're tuned in, they are conceptually identifying synchronicity. Sensorality multiplies generosity. Direct iteration. Is a multiple a factor? What is multiplicity to synchronicity? Sensorality is multiplicity, right? What is exponentiation to factorization? What is generosity to generality? Is generosity pliable? What is multipliability to integration? Does integration synchronize? And again, for our overall mathematical operators, if you're supposed to subtract numbers, you'll literally ask yourself, what negative number do I add to this? And the mental faculty of what people use for arithmetic, for calculation, it's all the same. It's all the same for everybody. But our linguistic expansion, multipliability. Because again, a statement of exponentiation is a statement of multiplication, of self-iteration, self-multiplication. What is exponentiation to range? Does integration synchronize? What is the range of an exponent? What is an exponent to domain? Sensorality is the range of domain. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is the function of domain? Filtration is the function of a sensor. Direct iteration. Do sensors multiply? Are operations mathematical? Sensorality is how operations function. Natural definition, direct iteration. Multipliability, ultimate. Again, direct iteration, emphasizing the syllability. Sensorality is ultimate. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is ultimate, climate. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is momentum an ultimatum? Is ultimatum automatic? Sensorality is automatic censorship. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is a censor to censorship? Sensorality is a multiplier. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is Markiplier, like the guy, the YouTuber, Markiplier. But again, it's this fundamental uniqueness of syllability of language to describe fundamentally unique processes that gets this syllability, right? If you ask Markiplier where his name came from, there's like a 0% chance he doesn't say, well, it was like multiplier, and I thought of the conceptualization, and I'm Mark, then I substituted that syllable, because again, this is how all slogans work. This is how everyone that sits down to think of I just watched some teacher on Wheel of Fortune. She was like, opportunity. She did some sort of amalgamation with opportunity. It was like lollipop-opportunity. I think it's exactly what she said, but an opportunity to get a lollipop. And so this natural definition functionality, people are directly articulate. But sensorality is Markiplier. What is equality to identity? Identity is sensorality. And that's the spelling with the C that we've proven previously. Natural definition, direct iteration. But again, that's still just a statement of it is what it is, right? We take sensor with a C, we iterate one letter of the C to the next element, we get a D, we iterate one element from S, we get a T, dent. Ident is sensor. So this is all just one big explicit demonstration of it is what it is linguistically. But its uniqueness, right? A sensor is different than a book. A sensor is different than a table. And so we have this sufficient differentiation of it is what it is, unique to sensorality with this fundamental stability of 2, and that limits the linguistics that can represent that concept. Sensorality is a logarithm. Sensorality is logarithmia. Natural definition, direct iteration, conceptually expanding arrhythmia to logarithm using the logarithm spelling. Sensorality is an arrhythmia log. Natural definition, direct iteration. Now that's using the correct spelling of the word arrhythmia. Because we're using sensorality to show this word form, this iteration, this progression of words you already use. Right? Sensorality is not a word. It's a word form to use to show why the words, or at least a pair of words or some words that you use are what they are. Fundamental theorem of logic, sensorality is logarithmiality. And again, that's using the direct spelling of logarithm, using the conceptualization of arrhythmia, and then just generalizing ality, because the syllability is unique. Right? We need unique letters, and as we get closer to the stabilization, there's less and less fundamental syllable constructions to unique meanings that haven't been used. What is the theme of logarithm? What is multiplication to filtration? Is exponentiation rational? What is rationality to radiality? Direct iteration. Is random rational? So now this is the direct logical point where I forget what even the statement of the problem is, but that conic form a to the n plus b to the n equals c to the n, and there's no solutions past 2. It's because of the direct fundamental stability of 2. It's the same logical reason when somebody asks you why. You have a kid, you're babysitting a kid, why? And then after 2 explanations, you literally just, there's nothing else to say besides like, it is what it is. It's this fundamental iteration limit. But the iteration limit's to like 7. Again, there's the numeric syllability, it works out trivially. The entire linguistic structure works out trivially once we get their concepts in the right order. Is random rational? Do products multiply? What is production to reproduction? Sensorality is reproductionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is generation to production? What is generation to iteration? What is generation to integration? Productivity is integral. And if you see me keep looking over the side, I'm watching my stocks as well. This stuff is trivial to me. There's only so much you can do so much each day. Moving along. Reproduction is sexual. But in that progression, we had reproduction both as like a forgery is a reproduction and sexuality is reproductive. What does sexuality produce? Professor Carroll, can we chime in? Are you smart enough to answer that one for us, buddy? Hopefully he's in jail by now. He's not, because there are no laws. Sexuality produces speciality. Ha, you got it wrong, Professor. You thought it was going to be like kids or something. Nope, this natural tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism, now we're logically reordering the syllables. Sexuality produces speciality. Direct iteration. Sensorality reproduces speciality. Direct iteration. What is productivity to creativity? What is creation to derivation? Is reproduction recreation? Sensorality is recreationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is season to recreation? Sensorality creates reason, direct iteration. Is recreation a treat? Is a retreat recreational? Are all numbers logarithms? In this a to the n, what we started with, again, that's our base, raised to a power is an exponent, all cardinality. If you just see 4, it's 4 to the 1. And then again, still y. What is the physical motivation to have this what is identification to proliferation? And it's just this containment. Why is exponentiation different than the other mathematical operators? What is its dichotomy? Factorization to exponentiation. Right, we have our 2 base elements, and how many times do they iterate to proliferate? Again, just saying anything that comes to mind. What is sitting to sighting? A leg is a sitting, right? If I went to get a tattoo for one sitting, right, it's a leg, a unit of time, some sort of slang acknowledgement of a session. What is sitting to serving? Sit, sight. What is a sitting to a setting? What is setting to sensing? What is multipliability to reliability? What is multipliability to probability? What is multipliability to repliability? What is variability to multipliability? Is pliable variable? Is variable pliable? What is multiplication to mitigation? Does multiplying lessen? Sensorality is a multiplication lesson. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is filtration to multiplication? What is filtration to function? Sensorality is personifiability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is malleability mechanical? Sensorality is a chance of mechanicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is mechanism to methodology? In emphasizing methodology, again, we have that OD syllable of sensodorality. Sensorality is methodology. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is matrix multiplication. Natural definition, direct iteration. Exactly and precisely in math class, you get multiplication, then you go to linear algebra, and now we have matrix multiplication. What is that stuff? Right? Multiplication is multiplication. Multipliability is multipliability. What is matrix multiplication? Logically, doesn't matter. Sensorality. Nice. But matrix multiplication is algorithmic, right? It is literally an algorithm. It's a set procedure to do something. Matrix multiplication is an algorithm. Natural definition. Sensorality is reliable pliability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is pliability elastic? Is elastic realistic? Sensorality is realistic. Natural definition, direct iteration. Rolling is rotating. Natural definition. Sensorality is the site of displacement. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is positioning to displacement? What is displacement to discernment? Does displacement differentiate? Sensorality differentiates functionality, direct iteration. Sensorality appreciates differentiation, direct iteration. What is charge to seasonality? Season, sensor. What is seasoning to flavoring? Sensorality devours flavor, direct iteration. What is a favor to a flavor? What is multipliability to compliability? Sensorality multiplies liability. Sensorality magnifies liability. What is magnification to multiplication? What is multiplication to proliferation? What is dominance to prominence? Direct iteration. What is prominent to eminent? Sensorality is eminent domain. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is domain? What is eminent domain? Again, more historical linguistic containment, profoundly, right? A big statement in U.S. history, eminent domain. I didn't create that phrasing. This consolidation process happens naturally, and it's typically always in the wrong order. But again, mathematically, domain to range. What's the difference? Sensorality emanates, direct iteration. What is emanation to propagation? What is emanation to radiation? What is emanation to vibration? Does magnification intensify? Does multiplication intensify? Sensorality is tense intensity. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is sensitivity to intensity? Sensorality is seasonal sensitivity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Moody is sensitive. Natural definition, seasonal depression. Is pliability radial? What is radiality to probability? Sensorality is most likely. Natural definition, direct iteration. Efficiency is most likely. Optimality is most likely. Can we get through it before the bark brains goes off? We'll see. Sensorality optimizes facility. Sensorality optimizes faculty. What is faculty to potential? What is faculty to frequency? What is faculty to identity? A faculty is a specialty. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is factuality to faculty? Sensorality is world order. Sensorality orders words. Direct iteration. What is multipliability to multiplicity? What is multiplicity to simplicity? Sensorality is multiplicity. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is multiplicity to duplicity? Sensorality duplicates. Direct iteration. What is duplication to multiplication? What is duplication to iteration? Does vibration duplicate? Sensorality relates rhythm to algorithm. Direct iteration. What is sensation to relation? Just for explicitness, like in the past several episodes we've been saying, sensorality is to algorithm, what rhythm is to logarithm. Again, overall we're showing you the steps, but all of it gets conceptually contained and all of it gets linguistically reduced. What is sensation to relation? What is relationship to censorship? Sensorality is relationshipality. Natural definition, direct iteration. And then from that syllability, from that elementality of relationshipality, directly produced sensorality is salaciousness. But now, again, we've pointed out explicitly this iteration of A, consonants A, never feels like a natural word, but this was directly produced. This whole process is a natural definition, but emphasizing salaciousness, that double A, again, is just like a huh, and all of these are natural steps, but this was a very natural step. Yeah. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is salatiosity. Sensorality is salacious velocity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Brad, what is salacious velocity? Again, Jen used her salacious velocity against Brad. Just whatever, 3 to 5 paragraphs, pause the video, go ahead and write a little homework today. What is salacious velocity? What is vicious to salacious? Sexuality is salacious. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is malicious. Sensorality is maliciosity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is malice. Is malice good? What is malice to justice? Direct iteration. Fundamental theorem, sensorality is justifiability. Natural definition, direct iteration. As we've explicitly articulated, and as you can see, we're getting to more of these just fundamental theorems where the progression is the context, and then the words are unique, and then it can only mean one thing. We're isolating what is a sensor. Sensorality is from rhythm to algorithm. And giving us this rigorous definition of a logarithm, which is direct iteration of algorithm. And then once we get this linguistics in the right form, we just switch the elementality of 2 letters, and I think just chop the N to an R, and we get our definition of sensorality. All extremely specific conjectures to where it doesn't even matter as long as I don't bonk my head, right? It's just what sensorality is. The complete reducing step is, again, no different than any of these other steps. It just shows the completeness of one axiom, which we've already done. Again, speciality special with an ITY. But these fundamental theorems without context, it only can mean one thing, and we're showing this complete conceptual progress of how this word, this linguistic structure is formed. And we're using the ontology of everything. So it's like you want to make a discovery and describe something, whether you realize it or not. We're on part 502. There's no fundamental differentiation that you could articulate. That isn't correctly proven. And again, we've already done this whole thing. But sensorality is justifiability. What is justification to equation? What is justification to realization? What is justification to rationalization? Again, shout out to Miss Odie. I don't know if you're alive or still a teacher or what's going on, but I remember when you said rationalization is not a word. It very much is a word. And again, shout out to all of my teachers who, again, taught me nothing and restricted my educational progress. You were directly involved in ruining my life. But rationalization is directly a word. Sensorality rationalizes. Rationalize, oralize. What is pace to cadence? What is cadence to fluency? Sensorality is the cadence of fluency. What does logic sound like? Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is cadentiality. Natural definition. Cadence, identity. Proliferation is multipliability. Sensorality is proliferality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Right? Proliferality. But again, we have, words are generally defined completely, but the completeness is in generality. Sensorality is proliferality. The conceptualization of proliferation was a huge step way back when. But again, it gives us our linguistic containment. Sensorality is life, just like all of it running around. Again, we're reducing all of this linguistics to a direct. The only thing left over is the statement of sensorality is, and it's how a sensor is already naturally defined. So at this point, again, sensorality, the concept is literally the functional thing of life, all of it. What human beings call life. Sensorality is life. Is proliferation pliable? Is proliferation viable? Is life viable? Sensorality is portable, pliability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Now, again, from our one to many, multiply, and again, even as is, multiply is very clearly, it's like, there should be a hyphen in there, it kind of sounds like a strange word, but it's fundamentally associated deep in the trenches of mathematical ontology, right? A multiple, multiply, multiplication. But linguistically and logically, we've derived this form and this elementality of one to many, one to multi. We went through that explicitly last episode, so sensorality is multivariable calculus. The whole thing. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, emphasizing the historical consolidation, multivariable. All right. Is calculus calculation? Direct iteration. Is calculus analysis? Direct iteration. Is calculation analytical? Is analytical biblical? Again, shout out to Gerard Butler and the law-abiding citizen. Oh, it's gonna be biblical. It's just that scene definitely pops up. I don't ever use the word biblical, or I don't hear a bunch of people use it. It's just like, anytime I hear the word biblical, Gerard Butler, law-abiding citizen. Is the Bible libel? Direct iteration. So we continue to progress through our analysis to arrive at a fundamental definition. Definitions are definite. What is a censor? There's some finite amount of syllability that is shown in this direct linguistic containment and progression that gives us our undeniable definition. My rights continue to be violated. I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. Obviously, nobody cares. These are the most profound crimes ever, and still nobody cares. That is what I have for right now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.